Well, hello, crafty friends. I have a goal to make a blanket in 24 hours, and I thought what better way to do it with a color phasing yarn that does the granny squares for me. So I saw this new Bernat blanket that has this self striping that's kind of similar to the red hearts that came out not too long ago. But unfortunately, I'm not a super big fan of red hearts. But this Bernat blanket is really soft, really cushy, and it's a super bulky, so it works up really, really, really fast. So here is some information about it. You're going to need an 8mm hook, and one of these makes 4 of these granny squares. Um, I believe you need 5 of these to make a full-size blanket. If I'm not mistaken, let me read on here and see. Yes, okay, here it is. So 5 makes a full-size blanket and 3 makes a baby blanket. So I have 6. I'm going to do a blanket, and then one of the skeins I'm going to use to make my border. And I'm going to be using a Tunisian crochet hook, even though I'm not working in Tunisian crochet. But these hooks from Tony at TL Yarncraft are amazing. They glide through nearly any yarn that I've used them with, so I just felt like they would be perfect for this project. And this is the 8mm. So, alrighty, let's get into this. And I forgot to also say that I love the fact that each one of the skeins has a center pull, which I would expect because it's worked from the center with pink being the first color. But I remember with the red hearts, sometimes it was really, really hard to get to that center pull for me. Other people may have had a different experience, but that was mine. All right, so let's get started on our magic ring. So they suggest that you have about a 4-inch tail. I definitely say you want to do what they say because you don't want to not have enough to finish the section. If you have tight tension, I recommend that you loosen up as much as you can. This yarn has a pretty good stitch definition with loose tension, but I noticed when my tension was too tight, it kind of made the stitches bulk out in some areas. So also, if your tension is too tight, you're going to have a whole lot of extra yarn left over, and you don't want that either once you get done with that color block. All right, let's get started. So I like to go ahead on and create my slip knot, but I'm not going to tighten all the way down. I am going to tighten that knot there though, and then bring it in just a little bit, but I'm going to keep that loop really loose because I want to work all my stitches into it. All right, so we're going to chain 1 just to get that started, and then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Work into that first loop. We're going to bring that tail over, and then we're going to work a double crochet right over it. Now you can make your magic ring however you want to. This is just the way that I do mine. So now we're going to go back through that first loop again, bring that tail back in the other direction, and then double crochet over it again. So now we're going to chain 3. Normally I would chain 2, but the pattern for this says 3. I did try a chain 2 my regular way at first, and I had way too much yarn left over. So sometimes it does pay to listen to instructions. All right, now let's go back into that first loop again, and we're gonna go ahead on and finish the first section of our granny square by putting 3 more of those clusters followed by chain 3s. So that's the second one. 1, 2, 3. All right, that's the third one. Chain 3. And then you can pull that a little bit. This is a polyester, so I would recommend that you don't pull too hard. But yeah, you can pull that if you need to get the last of those 3 granny clusters in there. And like I said, do not have your tension too tight because you're gonna end up with a lot of extra yarn. 1, 2, 3. And then find the top loop of that chain 3. I'm sorry, the top chain of that chain 3, and you're gonna work right into it. So if you do have a little bit of extra yarn left, what you can do is slip stitch until you get to your next color. What I have noticed is there seems to be a lot of extra pink, but when you get to the other colors, you don't have a lot of extra. I don't know if that was intentional why they did that. And if you have to slip stitch into these, make sure you go under that loop, because you don't want to slip stitch over here because it's not going to connect to anything. Alrighty, so let's go back. And I am just going to slip stitch around this square until I see the next color. And because of how they did the join, when I see the color change, I like to do one more slip stitch after it just to make sure that I'm fully into that new color. Alrighty, so now you're gonna chain 3 and you're gonna turn. So do 2, if you're in a corner, do 2 more double crochet with a loose tension, and then chain 1. And then you're gonna do 3 double crochet in this corner, and then you're gonna chain 3 because you're in a corner, and then you're gonna do 3 more double crochet. And this works up really fast and it's really fun. And you don't have to worry about the slip stitches like being too bulky or anything, because it works over it really, really well. So then chain 1 when you're in that middle section. And then we're at a corner, so we're gonna do our corner stitch, which is 3 double crochet, chain 3, and 3 double crochet. And then I'm just gonna complete that. And chain 1. And as you can see, it's starting to come along. And then look here, you just pull that in just like you would a magic ring, and you see that close right up. So works for me. Alrighty, so we're in another corner. Remember, keep your tension loose. You really do not want to have a tight tension with this yarn. If you do have a really tight tension, I recommend that you probably go up on your hook size, because you're gonna keep having a whole lot of extra yarn, and you definitely don't want that. Alrighty, chain 1. Now we're back in this corner. We're gonna finish it off, so we're gonna put 3 double crochet, and then you'll see on this row that it lined up better with our next color. So we're right at our next color, which is perfect. And you're gonna look for that chain, that top chain 3. I'm sorry, the top of that chain 3, and you're gonna slip stitch right into it. And there you go. So chain 1, actually, yeah. So because of how they do the join here, I like to slip stitch over just so I can make sure that I'm starting on my new color. Alrighty, so chain 3, turn, and then work 2 double crochet into that chain space. And chain 1. Gonna be at a corner again, so you're gonna work 3 double crochet, chain 3, and 3 more double crochet right into that corner. chain 1. And we're just going to continue that traditional granny square pattern around until we complete this round. And you can pause the video if you want to until you complete it. And then once you're done, we will come back and close this round off. All right, so now we are at the end of our row. And we're going to slip stitch into the top of that third chain of the chain 3. And you see we have a little bit more until we get to our next color. So we're going to just slip stitch over. And if you want to do the slip stitches a little bit tighter, that is fine. Remember, when you're slip stitching in a chain, you want to go through one of those loops. And I'm going to just go ahead and slip stitch to the next chain space. Alrighty, oops, excuse me. So let's chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to turn our work, and then we're going to work the 3 into there. And we're going to complete our row just like we did the other 2. After this, you'll have one more row. So come back once you've completed that, and I'll show you how to join as you go to the other squares. Okay, we're back. So I completed 3 of my double crochet from my corner, and I stopped. And now we're going to do the join as you go. I will say that they do leave a fair amount of this violet purple color left over when you're done with the square. I've noticed there's a lot left on each one, even in the middle of the skein. I think that is for if you want to sew them together instead of doing the join as you go. But I'd rather do the join as you go, so let's go. So we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to pick it up, and we're going to look for the double crochet here. You can do your slip stitch into that double crochet, or you can do it into the first chain in that chain 3 right beside it. And that is where I like to go. You're going to chain 1, and you're going to finish off that corner. Just as you regularly would in your traditional granny square. And instead of chaining 1 here, now you're going to go to your next section, and you're going to do a slip stitch right into it. And then complete your 3 double crochet into your granny square. And we're going to complete that right down the row. So slip stitch into that next section and 3 double crochet in between the 2 granny clusters below. All right, go to the other side, do that slip stitch, come back over here and complete those 3 double crochet. Again, slip stitch over there. Now we're back at our corner. So we're going to do our 3 double crochet. And we're going to do it just like we did the other side, except, of course, we're on a different end. So chain 1. And this time, we're going to go into that same 1. And the reason why we do that is to give us a really, really straight edge. I don't like to go here because then it gets a little floppy in there. So look for that first, either you can do that first double crochet or that first chain space from the chain 3. I'm going to go into that chain space and I'm going to slip stitch, and chain 1, and then complete those 3 double crochet stitches. Oh, I think I did my chain 1 a little bit too loose. And you see how easy that frogged? So that was a good example of that. So go back in here. And you see how it gives you a really straight edge, and I am going to put a border on this. So that's why I want my edge to be so super straight. Like, I need a really good straight edge because I want the border to just glide on. All right, and you're going to finish your granny square as you normally would by doing your chain 1 and 3 granny clusters until we get to the end of that row. Chain 1. And I'm sorry, I said 3 granny clusters. I mean 3 double crochet. Chain 1, 3 double crochet. Remember, keep your tension loose. Don't have your tension super tight because you don't want to make your stitches bulge out. Chain 1. And we're at our corner, so we'll do our 3 double crochet. Chain 3. Did I do my chain? Okay. Ooh. And 3 more double crochet. And chain 1, and you're going to be back at your chain 3. So in the top of that chain 3, I'm going to put in that slip stitch and go ahead and close off that row. And so far, this is one whole skein. And I think it's just fun. I'm probably going to make a couple of these and give them away to some people. It's going to make a really nice size throw. And it's so squishy and it's so fun. And look at all of this purple that's left over. I definitely think that is for if you want to do like a mattress thing. Let me see if it's enough. 1, 2. Oh yeah, that's more than enough. And they do this. There's like a lot of this left over from each one of these sections in this skein. So thank you so much for joining me for that. I think it was definitely a good buy. These are on sale at Michael's right now for 30% off. So I think they're originally $12.99. And so that probably makes them like $8 or $9 at the moment. So yeah, get out and get you one of these and have a good time stitching. Thank you so much for coming to my channel and checking out this fun new yarn. I am going to block this when I get done, and I'll keep you posted on my progress. Have a good one.